everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. These are my quarterly statistics for quarter 1 of 2022. I love statistics videos and I love doing them and I love tracking my own statistics, so this video is going to be something that I really enjoy doing. I hope you guys like it too. I know not many people watch these because I guess you guys don't like stats. I like looking at them and I like sharing them. So these are my statistics. First of all, I'm going to go over my monthlies very quickly and then we'll look at how I'm doing average wise over the year. So I'm going to be looking at the screen because that's where all my stats are. In January I read 13 books which added up to 4,705 pages. I listened to 5 hours on audio and my average rating was 3.42. I bought 6 books and 2 of the books that I read were rereads. In February I read 25 books because I was going for the 28 books in 28 days challenge, which I didn't quite manage. I read 4,228 pages, listened to 46 hours on audio and my average rating was 3.52. I bought 8 books and 3 books were rereads. And in March I read 8 books because I was going through that horrible slump. I read 1,581 pages. I listened to 9 hours on audio. My average rating was 3.5 and I acquired 16 books because I was stressed. So those were my monthly statistics. Let's go on to my yearly ones now. Talk in more detail about how my year is going. So as you can see, I've read 46 books so far this year, 5 of which were rereads. I would like to reread some more books than that this year in the next quarter, I think, because I like rereading now. It's just a thing that I've discovered. I have bought 30 books, which is horrendous. It's not what I was trying to do at all. I have read 10,719 pages and I've listened to 105 hours on audio. I'm happy with how I'm doing. I've read a lot of books. I wish March was better, but it wasn't. I do need to calm down with the book buying though, because I was trying to only buy 50 books this year and I've already gone way beyond my initial quarterly goal. I should have only bought 12 and a half by this point. So yeah, that's how that's going. So format wise for books that I've been reading, I read 34 physical books, 6 ebooks and 9 audio books. I've been really struggling to read ebooks this year. I don't really know why. Most of these ebooks that I read were actually digital graphic novels, so not even full ebooks, and this does mean that my NetGalley has taken a hit because I haven't really been reading any of the arcs that I requested because I've been struggling to read on my Kindle. Again, no idea why. I've just been preferring physical books lately. As for my audience, I've read 36 adult books, 1 middle grade, 1 new adult and 11 YA books. Again, this is very typical for me. I say this every year now that I have gone off YA a little bit. I think it's because I'm growing up finally, and a lot of YA just doesn't interest me anymore. A lot of it feels very much the same. They seem to pick up on a trend and just go with it, which is a shame because I do feel like YA and teen books have a lot of potential. The variety isn't really there for me anymore. In terms of my series that I've been reading, I've started 18 series and I've finished 5. Some I have DNF'd and they're not included in these numbers. I should probably make a tab for that. I'm not pleased that I've started 18 series, but I am pleased that I finished 5, and I'll be talking about these series and all the ones I've DNF'd as well in a series wrap up in a couple of weeks, so you can stay tuned for that. In terms of where I got the books from, most of the books I have read were ones I owned pre-2022, which I'm really happy with. There were 19 of those and I've read 5 of the ones that I've bought so far this year, so I have 25 books from this year left to read. I have read 7 books from Audible, which is really good because I've paused my subscription, so my Audible library is going down. I've read 4 from Kindle Unlimited, which I think were mainly Brandon Sanderson's White Sand graphic novels. I read 2 from NetGalley, like I said, I've been struggling, and 1 other. Type of publication isn't very interesting. I read mostly traditionally published books, but I have read 4 indie books. And I think as I get more and more into Kindle Unlimited in the future, I'll probably read more self-published books as well. My series versus standalone split is pretty even actually. It never normally is. I've been reading more standalones lately up until now, but this year I have read 29 series books and 21 standalone books, which is again pretty even, and it's probably going to stay that way to be honest as I focus more and more on recaptains, but also buy a lot of standalones. As for diversity, I don't have actual numbers here, it's just a graph, but you can see that 19% of the books I read had no diversity. I can't really remember which ones those were. Normally it's crime and thrillers, but I've not really been reading many of those this year. I can think of a couple of them off the top of my head that definitely didn't have any diversity, but there must be some other ones in there as well. But 38.3% of the books that I read do have a combination of different diverse characters or representations. 23% of the books that I've read had some sort of racial diversity, then mental health, queer rep, abuse, because I like to track that for my own reasons. And then also one book that I read has some class diversity as well, which is quite important to me. So I'd like to read more about that in the future. So next, onto my star ratings. As you can see, I'm doing pretty well. So about a quarter of the books that I have read were ones that I really enjoyed, 3 stars or above. I've had 7 5-star reads this year, 3 4.5s, 9 4 stars, 6 3.5s, and 15 3 stars, and then only 6 1 or 2 stars altogether. And then this big chunk here is DNF. I'm okay with having a large DNF option because I'd rather DNF a book than carry on hate reading it. In terms of my genres that I've been reading, again, it's a pretty big mix. So I've read a lot of crime and contemporary and paranormal and non-fiction this year, which is surprising, with some contemporary, some thrillers, some fantasy thrown in there, only a couple of other genres. This always tends to be quite mixed. I read a little bit of everything normally, so that's why that is happening. This chart is one that I can never get right. What I wanted to do is to put the years in the correct order chronologically, but it doesn't. So I think the oldest book that I've read was from 1979, and that would have been Kindred by Octavia Butler. We have one from 1994. I can't remember what that was, to be honest. A couple from the early 2000s, and then mostly ones from last year or the year before, because I do read mostly newer books. In terms of my publisher, Penguin Random House is the highest with 9 books, and then HarperCollins with 6. HarperCollins I do read a lot from, and it's normally EW books because I'm auto approved, but I haven't actually read many of those this year, if any at all. I don't think I have. Penguin Random House, they publish pretty much everything, so that's why they are the largest. You can see here the breakdown of author race / ethnicity. I try to do this as accurately as possible, but some authors don't actually share it on their websites or on their Twitter if they have social media. Some people don't have a website or social media at all, so it's quite difficult for me to figure out. But you can see that 52% of the authors that I've read have been white, 20% have been mixed race, 8% have been unknown, I couldn't find any information on them, 6.3% have been black, 6.3% have been Asian, 4.2% have been Indigenous, and 2.1% have been Jewish. I've been trying to track Jewish this year. Going forward, I'm probably going to try to keep this at 50-50, 50% white and 50% everything else. But if I do end up having less white, that's absolutely okay with me. It just depends what I've got on my shelves. I have to admit, a lot of the older books that I'm reading this year, because of my BookTube history project, are by white authors, because publishing was a lot less diverse back in the day. It's not great now, but it was even worse back then. That's probably going to skew my numbers a little bit, but a lot of the new books that I am buying and reading are by authors of colour, so it might balance out a little bit, I'm not sure. I'm just going to have to be quite conscious about that. Author status, as in, is it a debut author? Have they got more books out, or is it new to me? Are they new to me, sorry. Most of the books that I've read are from authors I've read before. These obviously include my rereads. 13 of the books I've read have been debuts, and 9 have been new to me, so not a debut, but they are an author that I haven't read from before. And then for my favourite part, we have the maps of the world. This is my map of the world overall. So you can see that I've read some books from Canada, the USA as usual, the UK, Ireland, France, Italy, Greece, Poland, Sweden, North and South Korea, and Australia. So it's not very widely spread out yet, but it will be later on this year because I like to read from around the world. I obviously need to focus more on Asia, Middle East, Africa and South America, but I will get there. I have a lot of books planned for this actually, and this year I also split it up slightly by continent as well. I still need to do a map for Africa, but I haven't read any books from there yet, so I haven't included it. You can see that I'm doing quite well in Europe, and I have a couple more books planned for Europe quite soon as well. So Europe is becoming very colourful. I'm not doing great in Asia. I've only got the 2 Koreas there. Here I've split it up by states, so you can see which states I've read from. Let's see, we've got California, Idaho, North Dakota, Texas, Louisiana, Illinois, North Carolina, Virginia, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and Maine. I think that's it. I'm not very good with my states, so I did have to look all of those up. I'm quite pleased with how the map of the US is going, but it's very annoying that my reading always skews towards the US, because that's where most of the English published books I read are set and where the authors are from, which makes sense because it's obviously their native language and my native language. I would like to read more diverse books set in other places. Like I said, I'm particularly hoping to focus on Asia, Africa and South America as well, because I've already done quite well in Europe. And while there are some books that I would like to read soon that take me to Ukraine and Romania and Spain, for example, I do need to focus on other continents as well. And then finally, I just want to talk about the books that I've acquired. So far this year I've bought 30 books. Like I said, I've read 20% of those, which isn't great, so that means I've read what, 6. I need to work on that, definitely. It's something that I'm hoping to do going forward, and I also need to buy fewer books. I've spent £61.56 on this many books so far. I don't know what that is in dollars, probably about $90 maybe. Let's look this up just for fun. $80. So yeah, that's not great. I don't want to do it. I don't want to buy books at this rate in the coming year for the rest of the year, so it's something that I want to work on. I have borrowed a bunch of books from the library and I've read 11 of them, and I've saved £107.78, so at least that's good. I'm really pleased with that, and I hope to keep using my library in the future. So those are my stats. Let me know what you think of them. If you've got any comments, let me know. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye.